Hello, welcome to Anime Mystics. I'm Roman, and tonight I am watching Chio-Chan no Tsuugakuro episode 8. So, last episode we had two sections. The first part dealt with Chio um, making a stop at a kind of like a 7-Eleven, one of those convenience stores that she passes by as she's on her way to school. Um, she was going to buy this gaming magazine that specializes in like Western games, so like the U.S. games, like Call of Duty and Assassin's Creed and all that. Um, and they stopped carrying it. She's looking for it on the shelf, but it's not there. Instead, it was replaced with a yaoi magazine. Um, it was called BL something. Um, but at first, she's really upset that they replaced her magazine and just going on about how stupid these other games are and how Japanese games are so bad. And then she starts looking at the yaoi magazine and is actually starting to like it a little bit. Because it's got all kinds of different characters in it. There was a black guy, there was like an older guy, different body types and all that. So she decided to buy it for research purposes. Um, and she didn't really care at first because she's like, well, there's nobody here who really knows me, so I don't care if they see me buying this. But as she's going towards the counter, she sees that the biker dude is working there. He's the one working at the register. So she freaks out because she knows him and he knows her, and she doesn't want him to see what she's buying. So she's trying to come up with a plan to pay for the magazine without him seeing it or knowing what kind of magazine it is. So she ended up buying this little she didn't even have to buy it. It was like a free pamphlet or something. I forget what it was for exactly. I think driver's license. And I think it was for motorcycles because when she brought it to the counter, the guy got excited and said, "Are you thinking of getting a motorcycle license?" And she said after the day that he had brought her to school on his motorcycle, she thought it might be pretty cool to get one. And distracted him by asking him to pick a school out in the book for her to go to. So he starts looking through the book because he picked up the pamphlet and you could see the ad on the back, which has this muscular dude with his shirt off, and she doesn't want him to see that. So again, she's trying to think of a way to keep him from seeing it, and she sees these excuse me, she sees these little, I think they're like 10 yen or 1 yen or something, chocolates, and puts two of them on him. But they're like right where his nipple should be, so it just looks like he's got 3D nipples. So she adds a bunch more and makes like a tank top. And then when he's about to scan it, he sees all the little chocolates and he scans them and scans the magazine. And she's like, okay, I don't need a bag. You don't need to worry about it. I'll just carry it out there like this. And she's starting to back up. And she turns around and he comes over and puts his hand on her shoulder and tells her that going outside with that kind of magazine would probably have people looking at her because a lot of people don't quite understand that kind of thing. He knew exactly what magazine she was buying. She was still very embarrassed and I think a little upset Um, and he ended up giving her a. Excuse me, sorry. Ended up giving her a paper bag to put it in so that nobody would see it. Um, and then she ends up leaving. And then in a little like afterward type situation, they show him at his house borrowing this yaoi, I think like dating sim game that he's trying out. And his friend is there. His friend seemed to be getting into it, and it kind of freaked him out a little based off the look he gave, and it cut off there. And then the second part, Chio and Manana are walking to school together, and there's this one girl who's like waiting for them. I guess she goes to a rich school or something like that, like a private school. And she challenges them to this game. I can't remember exactly what it was called, but basically, if you've seen Naruto, that 1,000 Years of Pain move that Kakashi had, where he would take his fingers and like shove them up like Naruto's butt. That is what the challenge was, the duel. They ignored her. They didn't think that she was talking to them, so they walked by, and she ends up doing it to Manana, who just collapses to the ground and starts foaming at the mouth. And then she tries getting Chio, but Chio's too quick. And now that she knows what she's trying to do, she's like dodging and trying to figure out why this girl is doing this. And she's like, "Didn't you hear my challenge?" And she's like, "No, we didn't. We didn't think you were talking to us." And they end up going into the. They end up having like a short little duel, but Manana ends up getting back up and doing it to the girl, and she collapses. And they take her to the woods, and they use these like zip ties to keep her thumbs together so that her hands are like stuck, and behind her back so she won't be able to do anything. What they didn't know was this girl is very flexible and was able to pull her arms up to the front, like I think she went up, over, or maybe underneath. Either way, she did one of those and got her hands into the front, and then got Manana again. And her and Chio started having a duel, and ended up getting in like the main part of the park where there's tons of people. And Chio's trying to like pause the game so that they can go somewhere where there's less people so they don't see this. And Chio ends up going backwards and back straight up into a branch. And it's low enough to like hit her right where her butt would be. And she collapses to the ground. And the girl is saying how she's, going to finish her off, and it's like it's like revenge for her brother or something. And Chio doesn't look like she knows what she's talking about. Anyway, before she can get her, that oh god, what was the name of that sport? The one girl that was training in the park last episode, the episode before, showed up and saved Chio. And then the other girl is saying, she'll do it to her. And she just turns around and says, "Go ahead and do it." Like, she didn't care. The girl is, like, hesitating. She's like, I kind of feel like if I do this, it's not gonna be the same kind of, it's not gonna mean the same thing. So... So she ends up turning around and tells the girl, she's got to start being a little more ladylike and blah, 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 and all this and that. And then Chio's trying to jump in and say, yeah, got to do that. And the girl, like, hisses at her or something and, like, runs off. And Manana shows up afterwards, and she's like getting ready to get revenge on this little girl. I think she was in middle school, but trying to get revenge on this little girl. And she's already gone, so there's nothing they can do. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen in this one. Like I do with every episode, I never know what's going to happen. So let's just get into it. See what we're in store for. So the video is going to be located over here, and the link to the reaction is going to be in the description down below. Volume is about there. Well, maybe a little lower. Let's go 18. And we're going to start this episode in 3, 2, 1.